On 19th November 1917, in the place called Anant Bhavan in Allahabad, members of the very prestigious family were moving around the corridor with gaze fixed on a single door with excitement as well as concern. The room behind the door was also filled with movements of Scottish doctor and nurses preparing for the birth of a child. The eldest man of the family, Pandit Motilal Nehru, was beyond happy about his beloved son having a child, while Jawaharlal Nehru's vision is only on the room where his wife Kamala Nehru was lying in labor pain. At last, the Scots doctor came out and whispered in Jawaharlal Nehru's ear, "It is a bony lass." His father, Motilal Nehru, said, "This daughter of Jawaharlal will be better than thousands of sons." And indeed that the words predicted by her grandfather were proved to be true, and she was later called as Iron Lady of India. Indira Priyadarshini Nehru Gandhi grew up as a only child, but she had a brother who died after 2 days of birth. Even though Indira was spoilt by her family, she described her childhood as insecure. When Indira was about 2 years old, her parents joined the Indian independence movement with Mohandas K. Gandhi, which led to Nehru home being a meeting place for those involved in the independence movement, creating an atypical environment for an only child. She was only 4-year-old when her grandfather Motilal and father Jawaharlal were jailed for the first time. She was in a court sitting in Motilal's lap while they were convicted. She was inconsolable while returning home without them, but that's not the only time it happened, and along with her father and grandfather, her mother was also went to jail often, which accentuated her grief. During the first arrest, the police paid their first visit to house to confiscate some property. Little Indira, being infuriated, charged at the police and shouted, "You can't take them away, they are ours." When she was 5-year-old, Nehru family burned down all their British goods. Later, Indira came to know that her favorite doll was also British made, which left her internally conflicted, but later, she arranged a bonfire and burnt the doll. She was about 12 years old when she created the Vanara Sena movement for young girls and boys. At the inaugural meeting of the Sena, over 1,000 boys and girls showed up. The elders seemed to laugh at the Sena, but that did not discourage her. The group played a small but notable role in the Indian independence movement. They not only relieved the elders of the routine chores, but also acted as the messengers of important information. In the early 1930s, Indira smuggled an important document that outlined the plans for a major revolutionary initiative from her father's house in her school bag. Her father's house was under police surveillance at the time, and she told them that she was late for school and would be punished if she got delayed any further. During early education, she was sent to a school run by British spinsters, but later her father withdrew her from that school. She was then homeschooled and taught by Indian tutors. 1926, her mother Kamala became seriously ill, so she along with her family went to Switzerland for the medical treatment. That's when 8-year-old Indira started to develop her independent spirit and expand her world views by traveling different places and attending different schools. In 1927, the family returned to India. Indira then joined St. Mary's Convent School in Allahabad. In 1931, she lost her grandfather, who she loved dearly. After the death of his father, Jawaharlal was free to give Indira the type of education he wanted. Indira was moved to Pune to become a day boarder at the people's own school. For her, it was quite a change from the comforts of Anand Bhavan. Indira, then 14, was the oldest among the boarders and was therefore made responsible for some young students. Despite the love she received from the school, she was unable to cope with such responsibilities and shed lonely tears in the confinement of her bed at night. While attending the school in Pune, Indira had an opportunity to get closer to Mahatma Gandhi, who had a great impact on her as she learned the power of passive resistance from him. From 1934 to 1935, Indira studied in Shantiniketan, where classes were taken in natural surrounding. This idyllic peace is what she earned for, as she was always surrounded by noise, crowd and violence. But with her mother's deteriorating health, she had to leave Shantiniketan in 1935. And she lost her mother in 1936. After her mother's death, which left her in extreme grief, Indira joined Somerville College, Oxford. At Oxford, she did really well in political science, history and economics. Even though she excelled in other subjects, she did poorly in Latin, which is unfortunate for her, is a compulsory subject. Indira was the most famous student but a reluctant leader. She got involved in many political activities around the college. When Japan attacked China, she boycotted Japanese product at Oxford and arranged a benefit performance to raise money for medical aid in China. During Spanish Civil War, to support Republican cause, she raised money by selling one of her bracelet. During this period of her life is when there were a series of letter exchange between her and her father Jawaharlal. Through this letter, Nehru provided Indira with advice on various aspects of life, including the importance of honesty, integrity, and understanding different perspectives, as well as encouragement to be courageous and work towards social justice. Nehru also used this letter to educate her daughter about a wide range of topics including politics, history, and philosophy. Even though she was mentally strong, her physical strength didn't match with her spirits, and when exposed to cold air, she got sick easily. In 1939, Indira caught a chill that developed into pleurisy, due to which she had to make repeated trips to Switzerland for treatment, disrupting her studies. She was being treated there in 1940, when the Nazi armies rapidly conquered Europe. Indira tried to return to England through Portugal but was left stranded for nearly 2 months. She managed to enter England in early 1941 and from there returned to India without completing her studies at Oxford. During her time in Britain, she fell in love with Feroz Gandhi, a student of London School of Economics. He had first proposed to Indira when she was just 16. She did not say yes to the proposal easily. It took Feroz a number of years before Indira finally agreed. On 26 March 1942, Indira married Feroz Gandhi in a simple yet beautiful ceremony. She wore a pink cotton sari which is made from the yarn her father spun himself. Feroz Gandhi worked as a lawyer in Allahabad. During the flag hosting ceremony at Allahabad, which Indira attended, a young man holding the Congress flag was struck with lathi and handed over the flag to her when he fell. She made sure that the flag did not fall to the ground and also that the police did not snatch it. A few days after the flag hosting ceremony, Indira arranged a meeting of party workers. When Indira had addressed the gathering for no more than a few minutes, a British soldier ordered her to stop speaking. When that did not produce the desired response from her, he raised his gun and moved menacingly towards her. Feroz, who was in the audience, sprang up and placed himself between the soldier and his wife. Both of them were dragged out and Indira was forcibly taken to Anand Bhavan to pack her back quickly for a term in jail. She was taken to Nani prison where she spent most of her time reading and gardening. As a Jawaharlal Nehru's daughter, she should have been an A-class prisoner, but due to judge's mistake she was treated as an ordinary convict. It was only later that mistake was rectified and she had been upgraded to A-class. She was imprisoned for 8 months from September 1940 to 13th May 1943 for 243 days. She could have never guessed that this is only going to be the start of her life struggles.